Most people learning TIG welding always obsess over welding penetration, and a lot of the time that's exactly why their welding sucks. I'm serious, it's because they are chasing the wrong thing. Welding penetration is not the goal, it is the result. It gets tied to your machine settings. A lot of the time making adjustments with your machine isn't going to change anything at all. Taking a look at this welding sample here, we can see that it looks decent on the top side, but when we flip it over, we don't see any adequate penetration through to the other side. Now, a lot of the time, if you're taking a look at welding joints and you do not see adequate penetration through to the other side, a lot of the time this can obviously be a structural problem with the weld. Taking a look at this graphic here, you can see the welding is just kind of sitting on the top. If this weld was ever detailed and ground down for finishing, it can leave little weld left behind to actually structurally hold the joint together with good fusion. A lot of the time, especially with like outside corner joints like what we're looking at here, you can see welding on one side might actually look really good, but if it's not done correctly, you can have no fundamental fusion kind of going on inside the joint or underneath. Now, one of the biggest problems that I typically see is that a lot of people are obsessed with getting perfect penetration through to the other side of the joint. And the problem is we take a look at the top side and we see a lot of things that are not done as good as they could be in order to get results through to the other side. Like I said, penetration with TIG welding is a goal that a lot of people have. However, it should not be the goal. Getting penetration with a good TIG weld should be the result of doing things correct on the top side. This is something that I teach all of my students in my programs online, as well as in my TIG welding textbook here. The one thing that we want to make sure that we do is not honestly stress about getting good penetration with, especially when you're first getting going with TIG welding. We want to focus on the top side of the weld, which is obviously the side that you can see clearly as you're welding. Makes sense, right? You can't see the back side. We want to focus on the side that we can see, get everything perfect with that first. And then as we start to hone in those details and get them perfect on the top side, that's when you're going to start to see results with good penetration on the other side. Do not make it stressful for yourself. Here's what I teach my students. What we need to do is learn perfect heat control first. Now, when people get going with TIG welding, they have a lot that they have to pay attention to. The size of the puddle that they're making with their torch, the mechanics of their torch angle, standoff distance, stuff like that, adding filler material, how much filler to put in. That's a lot to pay attention to. What we want to do is focus on the perfect details of heat control with the torch only first, and really determining a proper size of your puddle and maintaining it as you travel along. This is an exercise that you're going to be able to find in the textbook here. This is an exercise that I call the dry arc exercise. This is essentially just creating a puddle, maintaining it as you develop it at the perfect size, and then as you move away from the start, you want to maintain it as you move along the length of a pass. Like I said, this is something that I teach in my textbook here, as well as the free classes on my website. You can check them all out. When you are running one of these dry arc exercises, one of the coolest things about it is you're going to be able to flip over the plate and actually see how you have done for your heat input. If you're using relatively thin plate material like 1/8 of an inch or 3.2 millimeters, you're obviously going to be able to see some actual result as far as your heat input on the back side. But again, if you're using something like 3/16 material or even 1/4 of an inch material, you're going to be able to flip it over and you're going to actually see some evidence of some heat input on the back side. Because you can kind of just see traces of it, like this example here. This is a butt joint. You can kind of see it's like vague, but obviously not popping through. This is what I call ghost penetration. This is essentially where you can just see a bit of the heat input on the backside to see that you have gotten into the base material. What you're going to do at this stage here is just use it as a guide, nothing more. On the top side, you want to make sure that you can maintain a clean and established puddle with good edges along the entire length of the welding pass from start to finish. And you're going to want to be sure that you can maintain the overall width of the puddle from the start. It should be the exact same as the end when the plate's really hot. Now, when you perfect this exercise, this is when we start to introduce filler material. Now, once you really learn and control the heat input that you're putting into a plate as you manipulate it along the length of a pass, we now need to match it with a perfect amount of filler material. Now, again, we're going to get going with an exercise in the textbook here. This is called the stringer beads. You guys are all familiar with this one. These are detailed really well in the textbook here, as well as the online classes that follow along with the book. Essentially, we're not welding an actual joint here. We are just running passes on a blank piece of plate. I usually recommend following a line that you have scribed to just help you follow along and stay nice and consistent. You can see here it's pretty much the same thing that we did in the dry arc exercise. We established a good puddle, and then we want to add filler material to build up some reinforcement, and we want to make sure we maintain this from start to finish. Taking a look at it when it's done, we can see that the edges want to be nice and straight like this example here. The distance in between each step should be consistent from start to finish. The amount of filler material that we've added for each step that we took is pretty consistent. We don't don't see any hard edges or problems with fusion. And another thing we can see is the cleaning action. We want to see this looking nice and consistent. Now, one thing that you can do at this point, especially if you're using something like 3/16 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch material, is you can cut your plate cross section like this, and then you can polish the edges with a Scotch-Brite grinder, and then while it's still warm, you can spray it with this stuff here. This is oven cleaner. Use good ventilation when you do this, by the way. This stuff is not nice to breathe. You're gonna let it sit for a couple minutes, and it's gonna eat away at the surface that you have just ground, and make sure you do this on warm material. It won't work if it's cold. You're then gonna rinse it off and give it a little wipey, and at this point, you're gonna actually be able to see into the plate material to see how you did with your welding penetration. Like I said, you might not be able to see evidence of it on the back side if you're just looking at vague kind of ghost penetration here. But if you cut out cross sections and do a little etching test like this here, it's going to give you a really good example if the settings that you're using on your machine are hot enough, and also the amount of filler material that you're using is good for the amount of heat that you're using. And at this point, you got to make sure that you reassess and make sure you're good to go on while we go into the next exercise here. But remember, with everything that you do, we want to make sure that the top side looks perfect. Don't stress about the amount of penetration yet. Again, if you're stressing about the amount of penetration that you got and the top side still does not look good, you got to go back and take care of these issues before you start worrying about that next detail. Now it's time that we take everything that we've been over in this episode so far and apply it to something in a real world situation. Test time. We are going to run a butt joint, and I recommend starting with thicker material first. It's a little more forgiving just to crank up the amps on your machine. Try and keep things focused. Don't let them get too wide, but with more heat, you can whale away on it with thicker material without the risk of burning through. We want the same details as the stringer beads. We want clean edges that are blended in nice and smooth. We want to see the cleaning action looking really consistent and clean as well. And again, the proper amount of filler material. We don't want too much because it's going to block penetration down into the joint. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if you're using thicker material, you can flip it over and see some slight evidence of ghost penetration through into the material. If you're using thicker material, no matter how much you whale away on it with settings, you're not going to punch through for a perfect ribbon of penetration. Again, if you really want to test to see how you can cut them up. Do your etching test again. It's going to show you how much you got down into the base material with the amount of filler and heat you were using. If you cut some strips up, test them, and you don't see any evidence of good penetration yet, we're just going to repeat the process of what we've tried up to this point. Go back to the stringer beads. Dial those in. If you can get them dialed in and see everything looks good there, then go ahead and try again. But if you drop back to the stringer beads, see that you're not getting good results there either, I recommend dropping back to the exercise before that of the dry arc. I go over a pretty good idea of how to troubleshoot this stuff in the textbook here. And again, these chapters in the textbook are accompanied by scanning the QR code, and you can watch the actual video lessons online anytime you want. As you start to get comfortable with getting good results with thicker material, you can then go on to start practicing this with thinner material. Again, start with dry arcs on test plate and experiment with the width of your puddle to see what gets you good results with penetration on the back side of the plate. At that point next, with thinner material, run some stringer beads. Exact same details. We want to check everything as we're moving along through the progression of this. Then if everything's looking good, move on to some butt joints. But again, always keep this in mind. If the top side of your joint does not look good, it looks kind of shitty, you need to drop back to the previous exercises and make sure you're dialed in at that point. It's kind of like checkpoints. Again, this is the textbook that I have released on teaching you how to do this stuff. I designed every page and all the artwork, did it all myself, and my wife and I ship these from the shop here at my house. This is all packaged up by us. There is no drop shipping, no Amazon warehouse, nothing involved. Picking up one of these books is going to help you out immensely with learning to do this stuff, and you're supporting me as well, so thank you. Do a random act of kindness for a stranger today. I mean it. My name is Dusty James. Feel and chill. We'll talk soon. Peace.